Today we're going to be working with Dollar Tree wooden trays. I cast this beautiful frame from Redesign's Antique Gaze mold using some resin, and this is going to sit right on top of our tray to create a little shadow box. To attach it, I'm using Pen Dart's Heavy Body Gel because I want it to stay put, and I'm going to leave this overnight to dry. I found this cute little silicone tool here. I think it's used for nails. However, I like to use it when I'm using my heavy body gel. My voice is extra deep today. I woke up with a sore throat and it is just hurting to talk. I really hope I'm not getting sick because who has time to get sick, right? I wanted to cover the hole in the bottom, and so I took one of these jumbo craft sticks that you can get at Walmart and cut it to fit and glued it using some hot glue. Now I'm going to paint the whole thing in Waverly's Ivory chalk paint and then let that dry. I got this paper at Hobby Lobby. It is so beautiful. It's filled with vintage style papers, and it was just so hard to choose which one. I settled on this one. I'm going to cut them to fit, and I totally forgot to tell you, I'm making 2 of these. I'm just showing you just the one. So once it was all dry, I went over it with Paint Couture's Amber Honey Glaze. I'm going over the whole thing, the box included, just using a damp paper towel to wipe back the excess. And I really want to work this down into all the low points, bringing forward all that beautiful definition. And I want this to have a Victorian feel. And I know not everyone's into this, so if you would like to recreate this, you could totally skip this step. Just do whatever suits your taste. Our boxes are dry, so I went over them with more of that ivory, just hitting all those raised details and, really highlight all that beautiful texture and definition. And yes, I remembered to add another jumbo craft stick to the second tray too. I found these battery operated tapers on Amazon. I believe I can find the link for them. I got them last year and I'm going to paint them in the same ivory chalk paint and set those aside. And then I found this really pretty charm in my stash. I used to have these hanging on all of my windows, and this one broke and I kept it because I keep everything. And I ended up separating the pieces. I don't bother having you watch me do all that because it was quite timely. And I added one of those ring hooks and just screwed that into the bottom of each one. Now I'm going to add my paper using Decoupage, varnish, and glue. And I feel like I put this together so backwards. It would have been so much easier to have painted it, then add the paper in the frame. It's just me. It's how I do things. Now I have this alien tape. If you haven't used this stuff, it's just so cool. It's flexible, it's super sticky, and it's great. So I added that a little square to each one, added in my battery, and then looking at the candles, it just felt like something was missing. So I took out Paint Couture's Luxe Metallic in the color Sunflower and just using a small brush, brushed it on and then blended it out a little bit with my finger and then added these right to the center of my wall sconces. I did add a jute twine hanger to the back of each one, as you can see there. And that's it for these. They're real easy, super pretty. And I just wanted you to see how easy it is to switch out the batteries. It's no problem at all. And that's it for these wall sconces. I think they're so beautiful. Let me know what you think of them. All right, today's video is part of an open playlist called What Would You Make? All wood related DIYs. And I just love doing this one. It's hosted by Brenda from Rustic and Lace, Christine from Divine Designs. And this month they asked me to be the guest host. So, of course, I was more than willing to participate. Be sure to check out these lovely ladies and the playlist. I'll have everything linked down below. I found these frames at the Dollar Tree, and of course, we're going to use 2 more trays. And before we get started, I'm going to paint everything in Waverly's Antique Wax and wipe back the excess with a baby wipe. Then I dug into my stash and I found these really pretty cameos that I had cast. I'm going to use 2 of them and paint them both in my favorite black chalk paint that you can get at the Dollar General. It's the best black chalk paint in my opinion, and it's only $3, so can't beat that. I go over both of them with the color ivory, and I'm not worried about full coverage here. I'm just going over them, and then I'm going to wipe back the excess with a paper towel. And now that they're dry, I'm going to take my Verde Green Glaze by Paint Couture and go over both of them, just working it into all the low points and wiping back the excess. It was a little too heavy on the white, and so I just wanted to soften that a little bit more. Next, I have my bronze metallic paint, and I'm going to go all over the frame and then take a very small artist brush and go over her necklace as well. Apparently, Dollar Tree used to sell these self-adhesive tiles. My Dollar Tree doesn't have them, but I found these at Goodwill. I'm going to cut them to fit and then give them 3 coats of the color ivory. I got my Tite Bond Quick and Thick and some hot glue, and I'm going to glue that right into each one, making sure not to get the glue into the concaves there because it just won't stick, right? Then I busted out my Verde Green Glaze again and we're gonna dry brush and hit all those raised areas there. Bring forward all that lovely definition in the tiles. I think these are just so pretty. Now we're gonna glue our cameos down using some more of that Tite Bond and hot glue and glue them right to the center. Now we're going to add our frames, and I had previously took a pencil and just marked where I need my glue. You can find these candle holders at Dollar Tree, and so I filled up each one with glue. They're both different sizes. For this large one, I was able to add this little wood round just to kind of have something a little extra to stick onto. And for the other, I just filled it up completely with hot glue. And take my advice if you do this, be very careful because the glue heats up the entire thing, like right down to the bottom. And now I'm going to add some heavy body glue for that permanent hold and just set that right on top. And this is how they turned out. I think they are just so pretty. Let me know what you think and if you would make these. All right, for our next project, I have my gloves and my mask on, and I'm casting these cute little cherubs, I don't know. People call them all kinds of different things. I cast 4 of them. I have my heavy body gel, my hot glue, and I'm going to glue one into each corner. I'm going to give the whole thing a coat of burnt umber, let it dry, and then I'm going to give it a coat of ivory, not worrying about full coverage with this. Of course, I want this to look old. After I was done brushing it on, I went back over it with a stencil brush and just stippled over it to create some texture and kind of soften those brush marks. And this is how it turned out. Super easy and just so cute. I just styled it with a few sewing items. What do you think? This mold doesn't have a name. All it says is get inspired. So I'm inspired. I cast this large frame and it doesn't have a bottom to it. I thought it was quite unique. And so I'm going to go over the sides of the tray with my heavy potty gel and then set the frame on top. And then that just dries overnight. I'm going to paint the whole thing in Old 57 by Debbie's DIY. And then I'm going to paint the outside of the tray in the color Chateau. I have this beautiful paper that came in my Sonnets Makers box and some Debbie's DIY liquid patina. I brushed that right on to the bottom of our tray and then set this beautiful paper right down into that medium. I like to spritz my paper before decoupaging. That just works for me. Do whatever works for you. And then I have this beautiful napkin that also came in my box. And then I'm going to start tearing pieces to fit. And we're going to go all the way around the outside and also the inside sides. I didn't end up covering that area up because we're going to add another little tea light to this, and I want the light to be able to shine through the top. And I did the inside off camera and then took another one of those candlesticks, filled it with glue, and set that right on top. Off camera, I did take more of that color Chateau and just hit all the raised areas. But that's it. I think this came out super cute. I love the napkin and the papers. What do you think? I found this really pretty frame at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to start by separating the backing. And I'm going to remove the glass and set that aside. Off camera, I'm going to take another tray and paint it in the color Chateau. And I'm going to take this IOD transfer from, I think this is Flora Greca, and transfer that right onto the bottom of the tray. And then I'm going to glue these little fairy lights all around the sides. And then off camera, I'm going to take some vintage style lace and then glue that around the fairy lights to kind of cover them up a little bit. And then I'm going to take the backing of the photo frame and glue that onto the bottom of the tray. Lastly, I tucked in this sweet little butterfly. I think it's super cute, easy, and I want to know what you think. All right, guys, that's it for today's projects. As always, here's a quick recap of everything that we made today. Be sure to check out the full playlist. As I said, they'll be linked down below. If you liked it, you know what to do. And if you loved it, hype me up and share it so I can inspire others. Be sure to check out my video tomorrow. It's Budget to Beautiful. So once again, more budget-friendly DIYs. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until the next one, bye.